Hey guys, what is going on? Taranis here, FlyingKiwiFPV, and I am back with a vlog video because today is a special day. It's my birthday. Hey! Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to me, and cheers. What did I get for my birthday? From my beautiful wife. Bam. The Joshua Bardwell Xilo Phreakstyle kit. Let's take a look. So what's inside? I'll show you that. Boom, can you see that? So that's what it looks like essentially, right? You've got your frame there, motors over here, and then what else you got? VTX and the flight controller, the camera. No, not the VTX, the flight controller and the ESC. VTX, camera, and obviously the props. All of that in there. So we are going to open these up, have a look at them, and possibly start building this drone. If you want to build a Xilo Phreakstyle drone, maybe go and watch Joshua Bardwell's videos because his one's going to be way better than this. But I am going to build it and you can come along for the ride. So you're going to need lollies, beer, Xilo Phreakstyle kit, beer, and tools. Lots of tools. Okay, so let's start with the frame, I guess. Yeah, alright. Move it over there. So let's slice the frame. Looks like it pops out here. Move that over there. Just some foam. Okay, so first things first. What do we got here? Arms. 4 of them. That's a good start. What else we got here? We have the foam feet, and it looks like some standoffs, some O-rings, and possibly a 3D mount in there for maybe the antenna. I don't know. I'll figure that out. We have the battery mount adhesive foam pad thing, so we'll use that. I had on my guide grip, but I decided that I would use what they come with, what this kit comes with. Then we have the screws, and I believe there are 2 types of screws in here in different lengths. I will look at that and figure that out. Lots of those, we'll figure that out. What else is next? What is this? Camera plate. Looks like the camera plate to mount your camera to. And this is the so this is the middle brace plate for the arms. And then of course we have the I don't know why I'm doing that, but this is the top plate by the looks. Maybe it's the bottom plate, possibly the top plate considering the logo is on the top, maybe, unless there's one on here too. And it is definitely the bottom plate by the looks because this has to be the top plate. Okay, so bottom plate. Looks like it's already got press nuts in it. Okay. Top plate. And then we've got, ooh, zip tie. Another zip tie. Nothing in there. Alright. And a Xilo sticker pack. So I think we're going to stick one of these to the table like I do with all of my stickers. Okay, what's next to have a look at? So let's, oh, I didn't see this before. Okay, so we have a antenna. There we go. And let's pop that out. There we go. So that is the Xilo. My lighting is terrible and I do apologise. Awesome. Let's have a look at a motor. Can I just open this up? Xilo Stealth. So, the Xilo Stealth series. Okay, so mounting screws. Let's get the knife. Let's not cut the wires. And then here are the. Alright, so these are the Xilo Stealth series. I'm really sorry about my lumen lighting. It is terrible in here. But I haven't got anything else. I'm not a rich YouTuber. So these are the 2206 2600 kV Xilo motors. I don't know, they look pretty nice. Let's have a look at the camera. Alright, so Mutant, it is a, I believe it is a Caddx Xilo camera. So, my god, these things are so tiny. I forget how things in the FPV world are so tiny. Okay, Xilo camera. Now we've got this double pack here. We have the ESC on one side and then of course the flight controller on the other. Let's have a look at this. How do you open this? Okay, so you get the ESC, of course. We will have a look at that. What else have we got in here? So the package you have got. Oh, we've got two caps. Looks like a 1000. Not sure why you got two 1000. That's 35 volt. What's the other one? They're both 35 volt. Okay. We've got our battery wires, our XT60. Looks like we've got some rubber grommets in there as well. We've got a cap for the XT60 and this cable for that'll go from the ESC, of course, to the flight controller. So let's open up this and see what we've got. Okay, ESC. Okay, so well, it's the ESC. It looks like it's already got rubber grommets installed, so those other ones in the pack must obviously be spare. Okay, so flight controller. So in the flight controller we have more rubber grommies, quite a few rubber grommies, and then some more connections, obviously for the connection of the flight controller to the ESC. So we've got this one. And again, rubber grommies are installed already. Now the ESC is BL Heli 32. They are, what are they? They are 45 amp up to 6S. And then this is an F4 flight controller, Xilo flight controller. So let's have a look. Now this is the accessories pack and it just looks like there is, oh no, the VTX is in there too, dummy. Alright, we have a antenna mount, obviously goes on the back of the quad, and your VTX is likely to come out of there, and your receiver antennas will come out of there. But let's have a look at the VTX. So it comes with a pigtail. Comes with a couple of nuts, of course, and some screws. Not sure why. We will look at that. We'll look into that. This is the Xilo Stax 5.8 video transmitter. Now I think this is 600 milliwatt transmitter. I don't know. I'll have to double check it all. And obviously you've got a few little buttons there. Power button, frequency button. Okay. And then of course you've got all of these straps, some more wires, likely for the VTX. Considering the VTX was in there, there looks like some spacers and some nylon nuts as well. The props. Let's take one of these bad boys out, or two. Now these are 53s? 5053s. That is, woo wee boy, look at the pitch on that sucker. Look at the pitch on that. Get my big goggle hands out the way. Look at that. Wowzers. It does look beautiful though, doesn't it? Ooh. Beautiful. On my current frame, this one here, I run, these are the Lumenier motors, but I run a 5048 prop, which is, I mean, you know, pretty pitchy. Some might consider it to be, but a 50-40, what is it, a 50-53? Look at that. What a great comparison, but it's close. We will get rid of that. Okay, and props. So, we got all stuff together. Now I think it's time to actually start building the quad. So, away we go with that. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Hello, Poppy. Hello. This is Kai. Kai, here, look. Say hi. Here, say hi. Hi, everybody. Say hi. Hi. Hi, Puppy. Hello. What you doing? Hey, what you doing? What you doing? Alright. Okay. Was that it or what? Is that it? You good? Alright. Alright. So, let's take everything out. Put the things we don't need aside. Let's take everything out of the bags. I like to assemble the frame by itself, get it all kind of together so I know what it looks like when it's all done. Okay, so that's essentially the frame. Quite like it. Seems like a pretty cool frame. It's not too heavy. We'll figure all of that once it's all together. That will obviously go there, over the Xilo. It looks works there, and of course you got that. Now I also have a camera mount for my GoPro, of course, and I think I may not have long enough screws to go from there into there. That's going to go on there. So, I guess we will have to have a find out, won't we? We have to take these out and have a little look-see. Okay, so they're not tight. I haven't tightened them right down, but as I tighten them I'll get more purchase, and I would say I've got 2 or 3 turns in there, or maybe like a little more, but that is essentially what it looks like with the camera mount on for my GoPro. Alright, so it looks pretty cool. Now it's actually time to put all the electronics on and build it. Now all these cap head screws are actually for the motor mounts, so to mount the motors to the frame. Cap head ones are apparently more durable than the button head or the round head screws, so I think I'm going to use those instead of the ones that come with the motors, and we will have a look at that. Alright, so it is time to install the motor. 2206, 2600 kV, these are the Stealth series. We're going to put these on first, but we're not going to use the screws that came with the motors. We're going to use the cap head ones that came with the actual frame, but we will need this nut because that's going to go on the motor. Now also, don't do what I just did. Make sure that the motor wires are coming down the arm when you put the actual motor on, not like what I've just done out to the side there, because that's not going to help. Crikey. Now I should be putting thread locker on these, shouldn't I? I'm going to get some thread locker, I think, for the motors. Sometimes they don't back out, but I'm going to be safe. So, thread locker. Now, get me a plastic bag, because all I do is open that up, and we'll give it a bit of a shake up, shall we? Always use the blue thread locker. The red thread locker is permanent, so I always use the blue because the blue is semi-permanent. Essentially you can take them out. So now I'll do this motor here, and essentially all I do is dab it on the thing. Only needs a little bit actually on there, that's probably even too much, but no, can you see that? Put it back in the hole, wind it down. So that is all 4 motors, all installed. We will tighten these down later. Let's just get them on there. Best thing to do is just get them on there until you're ready to close everything up, button everything up. That way you know you won't miss anything if you do it that way. Yeah, so we want ESC. It's the first thing we're going to want out of all of this. So grab that out. Now, doesn't matter which orientation, but we're going to put it on this way for now. Essentially, we're going to mount it on the back of the quad, so that the power plug is going to come out the back of the quad instead of the side. But we're going to put it on like this for now. I can get it on. Oh, there we go. It doesn't have to be pushed down hard. Those grommets make it quite hard, but just like that. I'm going to poke all of these underneath here so they're out of the way. Alright, now going to tin these up. Let's first solder these pads. Beautiful. Beautiful. In there quick and out. Now we do have to solder all of these. Let's try and hit these. Alrighty, so far so good. Alrighty, they look awesome. Okay, so now we need to put on the cables. I need to put some solder in here because I'm going to want to solder this to that first, and of course this has got to go on like so, and that somehow goes which way anyway? Does it go anyway? I guess it goes on anyway. There's no information whether or not it's negative or positive on that. So first we need to tin this up here. But a little thing that we need to do what we want to do is have both of these here orientated the right way. See how they're both kind of opposite each other? I don't want that. I want them right next to each other. I haven't got any needle nose, but if you can twist it, come on baby. You can twist it so that it's down like that. That just makes it easier to solder. So I'm going to do that. If I had my needle nose, it'd be a lot easier. Try not to wreck them, of course. Okay, so now I have them both kind of facing down. That's just going to make it so much easier to solder to. And if you're like me and you want to help distribute the heat, I'll just put it into my little smoke stopper. It just helps without deforming the plastic thing if you've got too much heat on it. Oh, I lost an arm. I'll use this one anyway. There. Are we? Alright, I'm just going to hold it like that. Now, we're going to leave lots of heat, lots of solder. Slight angle. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now there is a positive and a negative, of course, somewhere on here. Okay, so positive this side, negative that side, so negative's closest to me. Alright. Beautiful. Now, some may say that that's too much solder, but if you ask me, it's just the right amount. Now, if I got to remember to put this on. Okay, now that's nice and tight, and positive side, negative side, so we're good. So we can take it out of my beeper, not my beeper, my smoke stopper. Ooh, Jesus. Whoopsie daisy. That's how to make an entrance. Come on, it's like holding down spider legs. Okay, so on top. Now we just want on top so that we can put this onto there. So we got positive and negative there. So positive that side, negative that side, and my wire is going to be pretty good. Not going to be too long. So how are we going to do this? I'm going to go over this way. I'm going to do the negative one first. Nice, that is good. Okay, now I want this one this way. I'm going to get my tweezers because that was hot as. Okay, got my tweezers and let's hit it from the side. Beautiful as well. Okay, perfect. So what I need to do is we need to get, so we get these in the kit, caps as they're called, and it needs to go bam on here, but not that way. Got the negative sign on that side, and there's no sign on this side, which means that that's the positive side. So we need to go this way. We want to come in nice and close, and these standoffs are in the way, so I'm going to loosen those and we're going to take those off. So it's the two back ones right here. So how am I going to get that on there? So that's got to go on there, but I want it about there. So I suppose we're going to put a little, curve in these, I think. Put it there somewhere, like that. Should I go closer or not? We'll go there. Okay, about there. So take this one here, bend that around, like so, and then this one as well, bend that around. Looks pretty good. What we've got to do though is we've got to heat up the soldering iron, and I should have done this earlier. Make sure your soldering iron is on before you need to use it. Turn it off, and I turn it off all the time, and it takes ages to heat up. So that's a rookie mistake, but we're going to put some solder balls on the top here, and then we're going to jam that bad boy on and solder those on, and then I'm going to clip off the excess. Alright, so put some solder balls on here first, I think. And now we're going to make sure we get the wires in the right spot. So we want the negative on the negative and the positive on the positive. Okay, so now we have that on there. It's on and soldered. Perfect. Now, just going to get a zip tie, and we're going to poke the zip tie around. Let's poke these onto there so we can get a better view. I'm going to get the zip tie around there, and make sure we get it around the right way. And this is just going to hold that cap and that wire together, so if there's any crashes it doesn't move too much. Right, just so that it's kind of keeps it together and that doesn't move around too much by itself. I think I'm going to move that around to the side. Yeah, and we will clip that off. Okay. Alright, so next we need to solder these wires to the ESC, and we've got to make sure that of course the ESC is facing the right way. That's the right way. We want the leads coming out the back. This is the back, that's the front with the slots in it. If you can see that, we've got the slots there, and at the back of this one here we have the holes. We've got the holes here for the stack, for the VTX will go in these holes. One of these holes, not sure. And of course these holes here are for the camera plate. So now that's done, we need to move these wires, turn it around that way, we need to move these wires along the arm, and then they need to kind of come back on this angle to the ESC. And of course we will start out here. So you always kind of start with the long one, the one that's going to travel the furthest. This one's going to travel the furthest, it's going to go all the way to the end there. And then of course that one, the middle one will go to that one, and then this end one has the least amount of travel to there. So it's kind of moving along the arm with a bit of slack, so that you can always cut them longer, but you can cut them shorter, but you can't cut them longer is the idea, right? So let's get these right. So along here, then up there like that. I think there's good. So I'm going to grab this somewhere about there. Grab that there like that, and then I'm going to cut that off. Just double check, triple check, make sure we've got plenty of room. It's going to go along the arm. I'll try and feed it under there somehow. Yeah, so that's good there. So we need to do that to all 12 wires. 3, 6, 9, 12, yeah, my math is right. Do that to all 12 wires. We need to strip them, tin them, and then solder them. So let's get that done. We'll speed up the old footage so it doesn't take too long. Okay, so we have to tin and strip, tin, and then solder. So I think we can just pull those off, and that's pretty good. We want to twist these wires up, we don't want them bent. So now we need to tin all these up. So solder and wires. There's some little hands here, just so that it takes it away from the board. Alright, and we got the last 3. Okay, so now we have to solder this on. So hold that there, nice and close to it, so we can just jam it on there. So now all of these are good, got a good solder ball. There's nothing touching. They're all pretty good. Looks good to me. So that tells me we're ready for the flight controller. Now all of those will obviously be nice and tightly picked down on the arms. And they're all in the right spot like that. And then we can push this all the way down now. So I think we'll do that, but we'll get out the flight controller. Okay, so we can now push this down to the gummies. Now it's pretty tight and it'll go all the way down to the bottom, and just take a quick look and make sure everything's down. So everything looks good. Now we need a couple of wires. We want our controller. Now this little bag comes with the ESC, and there's a cable in there that connects into the FC and to the, on this side of the ESC, but it's too short, it's not going to fit. So in the flight controller box you also get this bag of goodies which has extra gummies and a couple of cords, and you're going to want to take out the one with the long one. That's a long one. There's another one in there which is not as long. Put that aside, we don't need that. Okay, so we're going to plug this in. Now you've got these you can see the clips there. That's going to face down like that, and the essentially the negative wire is going to be on this side of that connection. So we're going to try and feed that in there and push that in. Alright, that's in. And then we're going to take the flight controller and plug that in the same way. Okay, so now obviously with the small arrow there, see the arrow facing that way, that's to the front of the quad, and it's going to go around that way because that is the front. But before we do so, a couple of things we need to do. So let's move that over there. There's this bag here that comes with a bunch of these little gummies, and we're going to use those gummies, those little O-rings, sorry, and they're going to go on top to give us some space between the two and provide some sort of dampening solution. Let's get the little gummies on there. Like that. And just give these wires a bit of a twist. That's just to help kind of clean everything up. On there. And we can push all of these down. Quite hard to actually get down. Okay, so that's all pushed down nicely. Now you can put these nuts on. I mean, that was quite hard to get down, and to try and get it off would be near impossible, but you can also put these nuts on, and they have a rounded edge don't know if you can see that. I'll try and hold it here. They have a rounded edge at the top and at the bottom a flat edge. Just make sure you put that flat edge down on the bottom. Okay, so now we've got the flight controller on. We need to look at where we're going to wire everything. And on this side next to the USB is these 4 pads: ground, 5V, RX3 and TX3. And that's where I'm going to wire up my receiver to. I'm using the Nano, the TBS Nano. And then on this side of the board is we're going to wire up our camera to. And we're going to use that 5V pad and that ground pad. And then up the top here we're going to use that camera pad right there. And the VTX, we're going to go VTX, SA, power and ground, those 4. So we have to solder all those ones up, the ones that we're going to be needing. But next we're going to put in the VTX. So, alright, so here is the VTX, and it's going to go on in this orientation, obviously underneath the pad, underneath the wires here, and we will be using the ground, VBAT, SA and video pads. We'll need to tin those up. And just looking at this and getting it under here to begin with, I've got a couple of screws in the bottom there. But, I mean, we've got to put spacers on. It's going to be hard to tin these up, trying to get in here with this wire here. With the battery cable here. So I'm going to tin this up first, and I might actually wire it with the 4 wires that came with it first. So I think we're going to do that. We're going to tin this up, put these wires on, and then we'll be able to get over to our flight controller here and put the rest on. Okay, so warm it up for a bit of solder. So we want ground. Going to be going side here, and we're going to be going ground. Beautiful. VBAT. Beautiful. We're gonna go SA. We're gonna use the yellow wire for SA. Beautiful. And then we're gonna use the white wire for video. Not quite what I'm after, that one. It's a bit hard, these things are so small. Beautiful. Okay. Perfect, so now that is all soldered on. We'll move on to the next thing. Okay, so now we have to solder up the flight controller. So we are going to start. We're going to start here. We're going to start here with our ground, power, SA and VTX. We'll solder those up. While we're here soldering things, we're going to solder our 5V and our ground for our camera. And we're going to also solder up this little pad here for the camera as well. And then we'll solder up these 4 things a little bit later on for the transmitter, for the receiver, the Nano RX. So I'm going to get the head here and solder those up. What I might do is actually take out these standoffs here so I can get the soldering iron in a bit closer. how am I going to get those? Will I put them around, or will I just lay them over the edge? I think I might lay them over the edge like that. That is that. I think while I've got the iron hot, I will solder up these RX wires as well. Those are all soldered up. Hopefully there's enough solder on all of those. Now we want to twist these bad boys as much as we can. I think I'm going to go this way because I seem to be a lot better. So what do we want first? Ground and 5V. Twist them up just a little bit, just to try and tidy it up a little bit. Okay, so that's not actually the best job in the world. Okay, that's those on. Let's put these standoffs back in place. Oh, I've still got one there for the camera, so I'll keep these off. I've still got to put one there for the camera, which is what we're going to attach next. Here it is, the camera. Xilo Mutant. And it's going to go up here somewhere, and of course we need this little packet that comes with the camera. We're going to use this wire here. There is this green and black wire, that's for the OSD, and we're not going to use that. So a little screw came out. I'm not sure what those screws are for, maybe to attach the camera to the camera plate. There's a lot of screws in there, but I'm not sure if that's to do with the camera plate, or there's spare ones for the back of this cover, but that's what we're going to do. So we'll take this, we'll unroll this, we'll give it a proper twist, and one of these ends will go into the camera there, and we're going, basically one is going to go here, and then the other two over there. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off this connector here and keep all those wires that length, just in case I ever use this camera on another build. I've got the most amount of wires I can have. Cut those off just at the bar, move that, and then we're going to strip and tin these wires. Now, I don't need it in the camera whilst we're doing that. Just use a fingernail because these are such small wires. Yeah, the fingernail is all that it takes. Give them a twist at the ends. Let's bring in the helping hands and we'll tin these up. So we're going to go camera here and then ground and wire over there. So I'm going to split these out. That way we're going to have camera there, maybe I'll go around one more, two more. Camera there and ground and positive over there. So let's go this way. I'm going to put these two in first. Alright, so now those are all soldered in, I will just give that one little twist and then that gives us our for the camera. So we can plug that in, I suppose. Now it's going to be all of that room at the front for the camera, and those wires, these wires here can just sit down on top as well. So the last thing to wire up is the receiver, so we'll get the receiver and we'll see what kind of wires we're playing with. Okay, so we're going to wire up the Nano, and so that first pad is the ground, second pad is the 5 volt. You'll see the ground's got a square around it, indicates that it's the ground pad. 5 volts next to that. We've got the transmit TX pad third, and on the end is the RX pad. So we're going to tin all these up. Okay, so now we have to install these. So I'm going to have to kind of come from the left again and the wire from the right to make it easy. We'll take that out and we'll put this to the transmitter. Okay, so push those down, I don't want to melt those. And that is essentially it for the wiring. Okay, so what we want to do, we're going to give these wires a bit of a twist. So we'll twist them up. Try and tidy all of that up a bit. Tidy up those wires. And then from here, I think I'm going to put it back here. I think we're going to sit it under here, I think. Perhaps. Poke that in there, of course. I think I'm going to sit it on the back here, like so. Okay, so after a bit of final fit and polish up, I suppose you would say, this is how I've ended up setting everything up. I've got the Nano RX mounted on top of the VTX just with a bit of double-sided tape, and obviously I've now put on the heat shrink to enclose all of that. What I've done is I've moved this battery wire that was coming out the back, and I've routed it underneath and then just zip tied it here to this standoff, just because it's pushing this capacitor up a bit. and I want that down so it doesn't hit the top plate when I put that on. I've routed the receiver to kind of, you know, curl around and go down through underneath this TPU unit that I've finally put on, and I've just zip tied both sides underneath it and to the TPU unit, and that's pretty sturdy. I don't think that's going anywhere. And then of course the aerial or coaxial cable for the VTX is connected and goes up under here to the mount, and that is the Xilo little lollipop there. Now the other thing I've done obviously is cut off these little antenna tubes that were kind of on the side like that. I've just cut them off from here because I don't need them. The other idea is to put the antenna tubes on which come in with the pack and your antenna go out the back, but I don't like that idea. I've got Crossfire, so that wouldn't work for me anyway, so I've just cut them off so that they're not there. We are going to put in the camera next, and so what we need, the two camera plates that come with it. So these are the TPU units that go on, and then these are the camera plates here, and the camera plate goes in there. The two notches go up, and the you can see it's got one notch bottom, two notches at the top, and I suppose it doesn't really matter which way these go around, so we'll put that back in. They'll go forward, and they are going to go on there. We'll squeeze that one on. Oh, let's put the camera up the right way to begin with. Give that a good push down. Alright, so that's on. The connector can just be put in the back. Okay, so that's about it. We've got the battery and a smoke stopper. Everything is basically buttoned up. Camera's in. So if we put the camera plate in on there, and on that side, what you'll notice is that they kind of protrude past the camera, so that's going to provide a bit of protection for the camera. If you come on to a head-on crash into something, bam, into the wall, it's not going to hit the camera. Whereas if we take those off and we hit into a wall, bam, it's a possibility that we're going to hit that camera. So I would put those on, but they don't need to go on right now. What we need to do is we're going to install our smoke stopper onto here, and that's if we get a green light on here, it means that everything's good and nothing fries. So let's plug it in and hear some noise. Awesome, so we've got a green light there, which is good, and everything is in. But I'm going to unplug this because I don't want the TX to burn over, but so far everything looks good. So we'll take the smoke stopper off, and that's basically it. Until we've got to plug it in to the computer and program everything. Once I have plugged everything into the Betaflight configurator, and we'll go from there. Hey guys, so I've had a few issues over the last couple of months trying to, one, finish this video, and two, get time to actually go and fly. As you can see, I look different. I've shaved my beard. We're actually a couple of months on from when I first filmed this, or first started to film the video. Bunch of reasons for that. My birthday's in December. I had a good birthday, if you're wondering, but Christmas came along, and then New Year's came along, and then we had some really terrible weather, so I couldn't get out and fly, and then kind of life took over, and here we are 2 months later, and I'm only getting to finishing this video now, but let's take a look at, let's catch up to where we got to last. So with the quad, everything is buttoned up, and when I say that, I mean everything is now updated. and essentially ready just to put on the top plate some props and go out and fly, and I'm hoping to do that today because the weather is good and I've finally got time to do it. So a couple of issues I ran into, not with the build itself, more so updating the TBS Nano. For some reason I couldn't update it. I couldn't update the receiver via the TBS Agent X that I have on my laptop, and most of that is to do with my laptop being old and really not being able to handle the update of it. So I finally was able to connect it to via the radio, and finally was able to update it via the radio. Initially it didn't work. Normally when you plug these in, when you plug your quad in for the first time, the receiver itself goes into bind mode. You push the bind mode, the button on the back of the transmitter, and it all does it through magic. But I couldn't get that done the first time, so again I tried the TBX Agent and my laptop. This is crappy, so that didn't work either. And then again finally got it back connected to the transmitter, and I'll point over there because my transmitter's sitting over there. And finally got it all updated. So what I want to do is I want to just kind of go into Betaflight and how I've set it up. Again, I've followed Bardwell's instructions on how to set up Betaflight for this particular quad. I fly KISS currently. I've only got one other little quad that I use on Betaflight, so not really a Betaflight expert. I'm not really a KISS expert either, but let's take a look. I've changed a couple of things just from my regular rig in terms of the way the props spin. So generally, especially on KISS, the props will spin towards the center, essentially, right? They all go, what is that? If you look at that, that's counterclockwise on this motor, but they spin in towards the frame. On this setup, I've reversed the motors so that they spin the other way. I have everything set up, especially on this quad, to just be on, what do they call it? What is it? It's not custom Pids. Do I even know what I'm talking about? Standard Pids, not custom Pids. Default. I have everything on this quad set up on default Pids and everything like that. So I've plugged it in just to show you kind of that it is default Pids. Now Bardwell has a set of Pids that I'm going to change over when I go to the field today to, he's flown it, I've not flown it yet, and he's put in some custom Pids that he reckons works well. So I'm going to do that while I'm out at the field, and but initially we're just going to fly it on these custom Pids. So down into the configurator, as you can see here, these are all just custom. These are all default, not custom, default. And essentially that's how I'm going to fly it. So those are the Pids there, default Pids. If I go to the rates, I haven't put in my rates. I normally fly around, I think it's between 700 and 800 on KISS. I'm not sure if it's actually the same in Betaflight, but I'm going to use Bardwell's Pids and stuff when I change it to the custom Pids and rates that he set up, and I think he flies at around 900 and something degrees per second, and I'll see how that flies. If I don't like it, then I'll just change it to my own Pids and we'll move on. But so those are the rates, default rates. Go back to the Pids, default Pids, and just to show you here in the configuration tab, I've got here that these motors are reversed, so they spin away from the center of the quad, and that's just so that if I'm landing in grass or anything like that, I currently get that on my KISS quad where dirt and grass and stuff flicks up onto the camera, and I kind of don't want that. I want it to spin away. Hopefully that solves any issues like that. I've got the motor set up, and again I've set up everything in this quad on Betaflight the way Bardwell has set it up. So for me, there's nothing really different than what he's got set up. So these are the modes I've got set up. I've got obviously an arm switch, I've got an angle mode. Turns out I have an angle mode. I'll figure that out the field. I've also got turtle mode, which is flip over after crash, and I've got a pre-arm set up on the Taranis. I have the same on my KISS, and mainly for me it's just about not not accidentally flicking a switch and it arms in your hand, because I don't want to take that problem out onto the field. So I've got a pre-arm switch as well as the arm switch, just to kind of be a bit safe for myself. So those are the modes. The OSD I've got set up is just so they've got angle mode, I've got my average cell voltage, so the average cell voltage, the battery voltage of course, and then I've got the fly mode, which is obviously the modes, timer 2 and the warnings set up. Everything else is I've left alone. I'm not going to change anything else. Now the transmitter, the video transmitter, the VTX, I've changed actually this quad onto race band, and I probably will do that on my KISS quad. I was flying the F band or Fat Shark band on that, but I was having issues with crossover between some of the guys that I fly with when I go out and fly. So I've changed it to race band. On this channel it's going to be 4, and at this stage the VTX is set to 25. Obviously I can change it as we go along. And I've also got here down, again, this is what Bardwell's set up, and I think it's a good idea for myself, is it's down here I've got a low power disarm, and I've got set to on, click into here, on until first arm. Now essentially that means is that when I plug in the battery, the VTX will go into pit mode essentially, which is like 0.001 of a volt or whatever it is, and it doesn't kind of scream at anyone else's quad that's in the air and knock their video out. And then obviously as soon as I arm the quad, it bumps that VTX up to whatever power setting I've got it set at. That's about it. So this has been a very long video. The second part, not so much because I've only just started filming it, but obviously the build and everything like that has been a very long video. So if you've watched it all the way through, I thank you so much for watching. I'm going to get this quad buttoned up, we're going to get out to the field, and we're going to maiden this bad boy out at the field today. So as always guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one, which I'm about to film like in an hour. Then I've got to edit it. Editing. I love doing it, but it takes so long. Thanks for watching guys. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.